What if you could claim spaces in your home without gates, drilling, or constant management, and your dog actually learned the new rules? Welcome to Straight Up Dog Talk, the podcast helping burned out pet parents who feel stuck with their pup finally let go of the guilt, learn to communicate, and build the bond you've always dreamed of through a partnership based approach that combines training, nutrition, and enrichment instead of chasing the quick fixes that don't actually work. I'm Em, and in this episode, you'll learn how gentle indoor boundary tech teaches move away equals reward, when this tool fits and when it doesn't for indoor management, and simple home setups that make life easier without shame. Because peace at home isn't stricter rules, it's clearer communication. Today, I'm talking with Jesus from Pet Sensor, a behavior focused tech product designed primarily for indoor use. Let's jump in and talk about how Pet Sensor works, who it's really for, and why it might be the right solution.
Pet sensor, it's a training method using an e-collar designed to create boundaries inside the house without having a physical boundary for the humans. A really easy way to say is you don't want your dog to be on top of the couch, or you don't want the dog to be going into the bedrooms. Everything that I was finding when I was starting this process was mostly physical fences that you would actually have to put on the doors. Or I remember there was an electrostatic mat that you would actually put on the floor, and technically the dog would not go over it. You find a lot of big things, a lot of things that actually create real barriers in the house, not only for the dogs, but also for the persons. And so through different challenges that we'll go into them later on, I came out to say, you know what? I don't think I'm finding it. I think I'm going to have to go the other route. Let me try if I can make something. I like to tweak things a lot. Let me see if I can find something that I can do that it would help in my house. And that's how Pet Sensor came out to be. It's a funny story when we started from the beginning, the reason for why we have a dog, why we have to find something to create those boundaries. And I think that's part of the whole project.
I think that a lot of people get dogs and they don't realize it's kind of like baby proofing the house when they have a toddler that starts crawling or walking and climbing up on things, because dogs are curious. They get into things. They want to smell things and explore things. And people who've never had dogs, I don't think realize that. And so sometimes they're not often prepared. And a lot of the options that are out there are very clunky and take up space and are heavy, or you can't manage them by yourselves, or you have to drill holes in your wall, all kinds of things like that. And you don't have to do that with Pet Sensor, which is really cool. You guys actually sent me one and we did try it out. And one of the things that I really like about it, when it is, here's it is, guys. It's just an e-collar. But the thing that I like about it is that you guys have 3 modes. So it vibrates, it beeps, and then it does shock, you guys. But as you can see, I don't have the little things on here, so mine does not shock. I just use the beep or vibrate. We have a kitten downstairs in our basement now. My roommate got a kitten, and so we do have to have the gate up because we don't want the cat interacting with the dog. But I also don't want the dog going downstairs to sniff the cat or bother the cat. So we have I took it off the fence so I could bring it up here, but we have the tag that just hangs up on the fence so that when he gets to it, he just knows I'm not supposed to be here. It beeps at him and he just backs away from it. It's really great because literally, guys, this is it. This is it. See this tiny little thing? It's just a little bit bigger than, I would say, maybe 2/4. It's not very big and it's very light. So it's nice that I don't have to worry about having the clunky things if I don't want to. Do you want to talk a little bit about the sensors and how they work?
Sure, sure. So there's actually 3 sensors. You have the short, you have the long, and then you have the kill switch. So funny thing is, you start learning through the process, and this was a whole learning experience from the beginning. When we started, we were thinking about a product that you can leave on your dog when you're not at home, so you could claim those areas and he wouldn't get around. And then we end up finding out that, it comes to a point that it became more of a training than a tool or a plug and play. And it's extremely easy. The reason why we have 3 different fobs is you have the short one. So the short one is actually designed for small spaces. I live in a big house, but we used to live in an apartment. And so I would always think about, if I put a range that is way too big, the dog won't be able to move up around the apartment because you don't want him in the couch, and that's pretty much covering your space behind the couch, which is the hallway. And so I started tinkering a little bit and say, you know what I need is 2 different things. I need to be able to cover a hallway. So if I don't want him to go through a hallway, or if I don't want him to go next to the door when someone's ringing the bell, then I know I have 3 feet of distance from the fob. And then I need a small one, which I can actually put right inside my couch. You just drop it under the cushion. He can pass in front of the couch with not problem. As soon as he jumps into the couch, it's going to start vibrating and beeping, giving him the signal that he's not welcome there, that he should move forward to another thing. Now, the important thing, and this is how the product actually really gets an impact and how it makes easy, the dog is not reacting to something negative. He's reacting to a treat, to a pet. Because the whole idea is when you start training with the collar, as soon as the beep and the vibration happens, you're to call your dog, get him close to you, and then pet him, give him a treat. So he's going to start to actually relate those two things. When he beeps and vibrates, if I step away, I'm rewarded. And that's the whole idea of it. As you were saying, we have the e-collar. The e-collar mode, I normally would tell people that I would not use it in 80% of the cases with the dogs. The reason for that is they learn really quick. So as soon as they hear the beep and the vibration, they step away and they get close to you because you're already rewarding that action reaction system. Now, the shock is a little bit more for the extremely stubborn dogs, the ones that they are a little bit more, the relation between the alpha and the follower is not well defined in the house. And so they're going to be stubborn. They're going to say, no, I'm staying here. I'm doing this. And that's where you need to actually use the color a little bit just to give them the attention. It's just, hey, you're focused on something else. I want you to focus on me. Come back to me. I'll treat you. I'll pet you. I'll do whatever actually please you. Normally, you might use that once or twice, and that's as much as you're ever going to use it. My e-collar now has 3 years. It's the same as yours. Mine does not have the prongs on. I would tell you that mine does not even have battery on most of the time, because the thing is, once you train them, they get used to know when the collar's on, they're in game mode, they're in training mode. And so it is funny because Whistler right now is in top of the couch. My wife is not at home, and hopefully she doesn't see this video. But the whole idea is that I don't mind him being in certain places, and so I allow him to be there. But when he breaks that barrier, or where he could be or where he cannot be, I normally tell him, "Hey, we're training, man. Sorry to bother you, but we're training." I pull out the collar. He sits. He looks at me like, "Again, really?" And we go over the training. So the training might just stop to go every 2 or 3 months. And the funny thing is, he might not be wearing the collar over those 2 3 months. He knows where he's not supposed to be. He knows where he's supposed to be. And so every now and then, you just refresh that training. And it's really fun because you could see that he understands that. Whistler is actually trained in 2 e-collars. So he's got the indoor e-collar. That's the one that I train him with. And then we have a Garmin Adventure, which is what we use to actually walk off leash in the streets. I've always had this view, oh, e-collars, they're demonic, they're bad. I mean, you have to see the face of this dog every time I pull the Garmin out, because he's going to the street. He's jumping all over the place. He's happy. He gets me to put his collar around, and he jumps into the street because he knows that that's good. That's a way that he can go outside, he can play with me, and it's not hurting. It's just most of the time, I gotta be honest, it's also out of batteries as well. I mean, it's one of those things that you don't need to be active with it. You just need to train the dog to know how to do something and to understand the game. And that's how I put it. Once he understands the game, it's fun for everyone. I'm the biggest and proudest guy that you can find when I'm walking my dog outside, because he's off leash. I carry my leash around me, and he's running, he's jumping. And as soon as I see something coming, hey, I see that you're a little too far, a little too, hey, come back with me, stay with me, walk with me. And it makes sense. I mean, he's with his owner. I'm with him. We walk together, and every now and then, hey, break, do whatever you want. He jumps, he enjoys, he comes back, and it's just really nice. It's really intuitive once you understand how to use it.
It's so funny that you mentioned that about the battery being dead, because I told you before we started the recording that my battery was dead. And it's literally because we haven't had to use it. It's so long. He knows now the gate is just a no go zone and he doesn't go there anymore. Sometimes, if we have company over or something, I might put it back on. I'm just reminded because he gets excited and he runs up and down the stairs and he does things that he normally wouldn't do. But if it's just us hanging out here at home, he doesn't go down there. And it's totally great because he doesn't even have to have the collar on to know that's just, I don't go there anymore. It took a few times and now he doesn't even try it. So I love that you know that it is a pattern, it becomes a part of the behavior. And once it's part of that routine, then they don't even need it anymore. So it's great. I'm not going to set mine off, but just because then he'll have a little bit of a reaction if I do that because he knows and he'll be like, what was I doing wrong? Or where's my treat? And I don't have that either. So, but it's not, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not loud. It's not a bad sound.
You have two modes. You can use it with e-collar or without the e-collar. Without the e-collar, we call them cycles. The whole idea is there's going to be a repeating cycle. As soon as you're close to the beacon, it's just going to start sounding and vibrating. And he would do it permanently as long as he's close to the fob. So the whole idea there is it's just annoying. I mean, if you're a dog and you're stubborn and you get into the top of the couch, what happens is just going to beep and vibrate, which honestly is not painful at all. It's just annoying. And so eventually you would say, you know what? I wanted to be here just to be peacefully and enjoy the rest. This is not the place. I'm just going somewhere else. And so that is really helpful. If, and this is where the if comes out, if you decided to use with e-collar for whatever reason, obviously you need to trim that level to your dog and whatever that level might be, and not depending on the height. All dogs are different. The system is actually designed to protect the dog. So what's going to happen is you're going to have a first cycle of vibration and beeping. Then you have going to have a second cycle of vibration and beeping. If he doesn't do anything on those two cycles, the next cycle is going to include an electrostimulus. So it's going to be vibration, beeping, and electrostimulus. That's going to happen 2 more times. After that, the e-collar mode is going to be completely disconnected for 5 minutes. The whole idea for that is if, and this is where the always comes, if the human is too dumb to put a lot of sensors around the home without showing the dog how to use them, and the dog gets into a spot that he can't get out, he's going to get terrified. And he's going to be, he's going to be scared and he's going to not have time to react. With this, we're going to call the attention, but then we're going to give him time to move out. I don't mind that he comes back again during those 5 minutes and only vibrates and beep. That's okay with me. I mean, I rather protect the dog in that case that actually protect the boundary that the owner decided to use that I thought it was adequate for that area. It's just to give that chance the dog to walk away without having been terrified about the situation, which I think is the most important part.
Someone once compared the vibrate and beep mode on an e-collar to a cell phone in your pocket. It vibrates and it beeps. And when that's going off, you're right. It's annoying. You want to turn that off. You don't want that going off in your pocket or in your purse. You don't want other people to be bothered by it. So you quickly try to get it out of your pocket or purse and turn it off. It's the same thing with the dog. They're like, I don't want this doing this. I'm trying to just chill out right here. And I don't want that. So it's going to go to an area where it knows that it's not going to do it. And like you said, you could take it off, you could give them a break, you can not have the battery running and just really give them those breaks in between. And again, like once they know the pattern and they don't need the collar, you don't have to worry about it anymore. But it's a great tool for keeping dogs out of a certain area of the home. I heard from your assistant that you designed this for a specific reason, and I'm going to let you tell that story. But I want to tell you something really funny that I realized with this thing is that you can keep your dog away from your trash can so easily with this thing. You just put it inside the trash
You
can,
can. You
and
can.
then you never have to worry about a dog
No
digging
issue.
through the trash.
Not again. So the story, pretty much, I'm a dog person. I was raised with Rottweilers. My grandparents used to have Rottweilers, and I was raised with them. I love that breed. It's beautiful. It's a strong breed. You need to be able to handle it, but I think it's a beautiful breed to actually have. But my wife is in the opposite direction. She was raised in Colombia, Bogota, with no interaction with dogs whatsoever. We had kids, and I love dogs, and I think that that's the greatest thing to have kids and dogs at the same place. It's just a blessing. But my wife didn't see it that way. So during the pandemic, hit hard everyone emotionally and sickly. And my wife, at a given point, I remember, I'm not going to forget about it. We were at dinner, and she came out and said, "If we had a dog, how would you call it?" It's like, honey, this is not going well. I mean, and I tell everyone, I knew at that moment that we needed to find professional services, psychiatrists, because the pandemic was hitting on her already. I found myself in situations where, what do I call? I call the psychologist first, or I buy the dog and then call the psychologist. And I went with the wrong answer, which was buy the dog and call the psychologist. Later, we'll find out how it turns out. The deal was she was never going to love it. She was never going to take care of her. She didn't want to have anything to do with the dog, and I would actually do everything. It was like, hey, I'm all in. And the kids say, I'm all in too. Unfortunately, I'm the only one who is taking that bargain. The kids are no longer doing it. But the funny thing is, we got it. And it's like, in the middle of the pandemic, what can you get? There was not a lot of things you could get. And I was in love with the breed, which was a Weimaraner. And my uncle, who lives across the street, he had one too at that time. And I love the breed. They don't smell. They're a lot of energy. That's good. And I wanted to have a big dog. I didn't have a dog before. Now I need to go all in. I mean, if I don't go all in, I might regret it in the future. We were able to find Whistler, which was a blessing. He came home with 8 weeks, and that was a great. But at the same time, it started to create a huge nightmare at home because my wife, I always say, this is the son that I had with another woman while I'm being in my marriage. And he's allowed to be at home, but he's never going to be loved. So I'm okay with that, and I think he's okay with that as well. So all the little frictions to start to happen. Your dog is in my couch. Not a good thing. Whistler, down. And so he would respect, and he's intelligent dogs. He understands when to do it and when not to do it, but he does it when I'm at home. When I'm not at home, he's like, you're not going to talk to me. So there's no risk that we're going to get into a conflict. So he will just go into the couch. He will walk into the bedrooms and everything else. So we started, as we were saying, we started buying everything that we could find. The electrostatic mat, we bought the biggest one that we could find. We put it on the floor, and it worked for about a day until he realized that if he went fast enough, he could actually jump over the mat and not have to walk over it. And that was great. The only problem is that I would forget the mat in the middle of the hallway, and I like to walk barefoot on my house. So at night, I would walk to the kitchen and I would actually get a shock. It's like, oh no. So it ended up being that I eventually removed the mat because I was the only one being educated with the mat. The dog didn't care about it. He would just run over it. And we actually have a video from Pet Sensor showing Whistler how he walks over the mat. I mean, he just speeds up the walk a little bit and he just jumps over it with no issue. And so, it works. It's a great product, maybe for a smaller dog, but my dog just can walk over it and there's nothing bigger than this. So I can't use it. And then we thought also about the fences, but then the fences have to, like the ones that you have on the staircase for the kids. It is great, but it's just enough barrier for yourself. I mean, you're carrying something up, you have to put it down over the fence that has a spring. So normally it comes back and you don't have time to pick things up. So eventually it became a little bit of an issue. With all that, obviously, Whistler went through a lot of training, him and myself. Most of the important thing I think a lot of dog owners don't realize, the training is 20% dogs, 80% humans. Once you understand that, he got into the basic training. And then one thing that I've always dreamed about is walking with my dog next to me with no issues. It's like he's just walking next to me, no leash, just feeling that. So we went into an e-collar training program. And I remember that it took a lot of time. He was out of the house for almost 4 weeks because he wanted to retrain him and whatever. And the first time I walked with him next to me, that was amazing. They train you and they tell you this is how it works. You're not supposed to shock the dog. You're supposed to grab his attention. So when he's focusing on another dog, he's just, you can see it. He's staring at the other dog. He's just focused. He gets sense. That's when you actually send a little signal, which is just normally kind of like a touch in the neck, which is actually the most softer area of the dog. The moms take care of their puppies by just biting them on the neck. So it doesn't mean that you're going to kill him. It's that you're just grabbing him, that you're calling his attention. And then I realized, like, hey, you use it the first time, and he looks at you, and that's the only thing that you want from an e-collar. It's like he looks at you, not anything else, not pain, not anything else. He just loses the focus, and he focuses on you, and that's how you actually get it. I started saying, hey, you know what? This is fun. I wish I could do something that doesn't need my finger on the remote. So that's where the whole concept started to be designed. I always say you have to plan for dummies because the last thing I want to have is a dog to be hurt because the owner does not know how to use it. And so we start doing everything for dummies and say, hey, this is how you do it. Step one, step two. And it's funny because everything started as a plug and play. And before even Whistler actually got it, I started realizing it was more about the training. It was more about a communication that you establish with your dog about something very simple. No, no, that's not your place. Step out. And so that eventually started to develop into something else because now you have a way to communicate with the dog and saying what not to do. So I don't want you here. So we start expanding it. So we have one under the dining table. Whistler can actually just literally walk into the table and just anything in the table without having to lift in the front dogs and the front legs. So he's just right next to the table. So now he stays away from the table, stays away from the trash can. You were saying, I don't know how many napkins I had to rescue from the living room. It was like, where's Whistler? He's gone. He's got a napkin. Okay, cool. And that means that I have to, I mean, not my kids, not my wife. I am the one that has to stand up from the dining table, go grab the napkin, correct him, and just put it back in its place. The other way that we've trained it, which is funny because again, my family in law are not dog people. And Whistler is a 75-pound dog. I mean, it's a big dog. It's athletic, it's big. So it creates a big impression in people that don't like dogs. So what we end up playing is that we actually got a small bungee cord and we put a fob on the wrist. So what happens is that whoever walks with that into the house now has a small area around them that actually tells the dog not to get close to them. So now that becomes a game because they can't get close to them. They try to sniff, they try to smell them from the outside perimeter without getting close to them. That's another way that we've actually seen that it works. And again, you start from a simple communication. No, no, this is not what you're supposed to do. And that you start to evolve into different things like people, other dogs. If you have two dogs and one's a little bit more bully over the other one, you just put the collar on the bullied one and then you put the fob on the other one, the one that you want to protect. So what's going to happen is it's going to create that same perimeter of protection around it. And the whole idea of this is that you're claiming that space. It's not that the other dog is claiming it, is that you are actually telling the dogs, this is my space. You're not supposed to be here anytime. Whether I'm here or not, doesn't matter. The signal is going to be there and you have to step away from that area. It really creates a nice environment. The podcast that you made about finding peace. In my house, finding peace is having rules. And we all follow the rules. Kids, they know that if they do go on the couch, they need to put the cushions back later. The dog knows that he can't be here. I know that I need to behave when the dog's around. We all have different rules so we can live together. And I think that's the most important thing about the collar. It's just really finding a way to communicate with your dog for people that don't know how to communicate. I've talked to a lot of trainers, they liked it, but they don't see the use because they obviously have gone over that step. They know how to communicate with the dogs, but a lot of people don't know how to communicate with the dogs, and they don't seem to be interested in training the dogs the way the dogs are supposed to be trained. So this is kind of like small step. This is helping them understanding what the dog needs, how you can communicate a simple message with them, and then you can build a different language that no one else is going to understand but you and your dog. So I think that's the most interesting thing about the product. You know, that it came to be something else completely unexpected of what I was looking at the beginning. But I think it is for me. It's been a pleasure. I'm actually working on the project. Whistler has a lot of training to be done, but I think his problem is not that he's not able to learn; is that his handler is not able to teach him what he needs to be learned because I don't want him to learn those things. So, you know, we still have that feud between my wife and myself. And I love it because it's just, I always tell that it is literally what's holding my marriage together now. Because if I get stressed out, I would just go to the family room. I'll turn the TV on. I'll get my 75-pound dog and put it right on top of me. And if the kids walk into the room and they see that, or my wife walks into the room and they see that, and we're fighting, they all know that they have to turn around and leave because it's better need to me leave me with the dog, relax, and just processing everything and getting the steam out of the system. And it's just funny because you would expect anything small. But no, I get my 75-pound dog, I put it on top of me, and that's heaven for me. I mean, it's just a pleasure.
I love that. My dog is my snuggle buddy too. He's not quite that big, but I have had dogs that were much larger. I think my largest dog was 120 pounds. She was a cuddle bug too. I
Beautiful.
personally love that. I just love it. But Weimaraners are super smart dogs. And I have a dog that's mostly border collie. His name is Fitz. He's also a very smart dog. And that is the problem is that they outsmart you when you're trying to put some of those management things in place. You can put all of the food off of the counter to not tempt them, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to still try to jump on the counter or get on the table or jump over the electrostatic mat, which is very clever. I will give him credit for that.
Way
That's a
too
new
much. Way
one.
too much. Way too much.
That's a new one for me. What you said there at the end is so important and I want the listeners to hear that again. This is not for people who are invested in training their dogs. It is something that can help you get to a better point if you are trying to train your dog. Here's a barrier. We don't want you to go here. That's great. There are other ways to train this, but this is definitely more for somebody who doesn't want to invest the time, doesn't want to invest the money, or doesn't know what they're doing because they've never had a dog. This makes it a little bit easier. That's what tools are for, guys. Tools are there to assist you with your training. It's not about pain. It's not about dominance. It's not about cornering your dog and putting them in a bad situation. It's assisting you in having peace in your home. That is the most important thing. You want everybody to be communicating, everybody to understand what the rules are. And sometimes you need a little bit of help with that. And that is okay. Nobody is going to judge you for using something to assist you. And if you decide to put the collar, the prongs on it and use the e-collar portion of it, that's fine. That's what they're there for. We're not judging you. We're trying to make this easier for you. So I really, really, really appreciate that you said that, because one of the really big things that I try to put here in this podcast is we educate, but we're not here to judge and we're not here to shame. You have to do what's right for you because every dog is different. And some dogs are going to be like, you know what? Screw that collar. It shocks me. And they're going to chew it off and chew it up because that's how they get rid of the collar, right? That's how it works. So you have to be able to adapt to those situations and work with the dog in front of you. That was really great. And with that being said, what is something that you would tell somebody to avoid doing when they're using this collar? Like, what is it not for?
Okay, so not for, I mean, we've actually had a lot of comments from people comparing Pet Sensor with Halo, the GPS collar. We are not intended for that purpose. Initially, I started thinking, if I put a small fob in my fence, if someone leaves the door open, Whistler's not going to go through. And yes, it does make sense, but there's another situation. If my dog runs over the fence because he knows that that beep and vibration, it's just going to last a couple seconds. As soon as they are over the fence, there's no way to come them back. Actually, it's going to be the opposite. And this actually happened to a friend of mine. He trained the dog at home. He decided to go to a friend's house. He put the fob on the main door, and the dog just ran over the door and stay on the front garden. And he would tell me, Jesus is not working. Why? He doesn't come back to the house. Of course, because he went by, he realized that there was a fob on the door. So now he came back to the door because he knows he's not supposed to get close to that fob. So now he's not going to go back into the house, even when you want him to, because he's away from it. So what I would say, first of all, this is designed for indoor space. Can you use it outside? Yeah, I use it in the terrace. For example, we have a low table where we put snacks and everything else. I normally get the tray with the snacks and I put a fob right in the middle of the tray. Now I know that Whistler's not going to get close to it. That's an outdoor space. Yes, but we are not considering to be outdoor. The whole idea is that this is intended for interior space. You want them to keep them away from certain areas of the house. The other thing that I highly encourage people is this process is extremely fast, very fast. If you do it right, it's just not going to take more than 5 to 10 minutes to train your dog. But you need to be able to give those 5 to 10 minutes and do it slowly. You're not supposed to put the fobs all over the house and make your dog find them. That's a different training that we've actually been going out with some search and rescue dogs that they thought the product was great for them if they train their dogs in a completely different way. So in this case, if they get close to the fob, it vibrates, it beeps, that's when they get the reward to be right on top of the vibration, the beep. So that would be positive reinforcement. What we're doing is negative reinforcement, which is we don't want you to do this. So if you don't do it, you get reward. So take your time. It's not going to take a lot of time, and do it one by one. Don't lay out fobs all over the house and think that your dog is going to understand it. No, you need to train for every individual fob. Think it about as a game. This is the game where you're supposed to be 3 feet away from the front door. Great. You learn it. Great. Reward. Now, this is a game that you're not supposed to go through the hallway to the bedrooms. Great. Then you actually reward that. And that's how you go little by little. And in no time, you're going to see that whatever you can do is actually limitless. I mean, it's up to your imagination what you want the dog not to do. At the same time, if you wanted something positive, you can do it as well as a positive reinforcement. But I would say stay on the indoor space, learn how to use the tool. This is like a hammer. Hammer is a really useful tool if you know how to use it. But if you start smacking your hand with a hammer, it's not going to help you much. It doesn't work that way. It's easy. It's you follow through. And the great thing about it is it's not something that you got to be heavily invested on. It's not something that the dog has to wear every single day, that you have to do it every single day. No, it's just a more relaxed training. It's just the more you train, the faster you're going to get results. But at the same time, with this product, I don't want him to be next to my bed. Okay, here you got the fob. he's going to learn that extremely, extremely fast. One of the nightmares that we have is actually recording videos with dogs, because if we are not able to record them in 3 takes, we need to fire the dog and get another one, because they already know how it works. So they don't want it. They don't want to play anymore. And so we've gone over 75 dogs try to record the videos that we have. And you're going to see that all our videos, we have different dogs every time. And not because we think it's cool, it's just because we can't use the other ones again. Because once you tell them not to get in the couch, they're not getting in the couch. And they look at you, you're dumb. You just told me not to get in and you want me to repeat it. What's wrong with you? And the other thing I would tell people, not to be afraid of the e-collar. As you were saying, it's one of the modes that you can use. I guess 80% of the people are not going to use it ever. And the prongs, you can put them on or off. It does not make any difference. And one of the other things that I would say that it's interesting about the product is the collar itself. We have bungee cords. And the reason for that is that I've trained e-collars. They train me, they train Whistler. We learn about it. And it still comes to a point that I don't feel extremely comfortable when I put the collar. Is it too tight? Is it too loose? The bungee cord, what actually does, it actually gives you that leeway. If you put it too tight, eventually it's actually going to slip off and just going to go to a tension or a pressure that is going to be more comfortable for the dog. So you're not struggling the dog with that. But again, if you don't like it, the product is designed that you can actually pull off the bungee cords and just get a normal collar, 1 inch collar around it, and you can just use it the way the other collars are. But if you have a dog and you're struggling creating those boundaries inside the house, this, as you were saying, is something aesthetical. It's something simple that you don't need a lot of training to use it, and it helps. It's going to keep their dog away from certain areas. So it's just more of a sniper situation. It's one on one fob makes one different. The kill switch was actually an idea of mine that initially, when you had the color, the vision was that you could have many fobs around the house. So couches, hallways, everything else, you could do it. And then it would come to a point that the dog could not access certain areas. The kill switch was designed for the owner to wear. So if you were walking with your dog around the house, he can be next to you because he's allowed to be next to you. He's actually encouraged to be next to you. So the kill switch give him protection against everything around the house. So you want to go through the front door with him. He's going to follow your kill switch. Is going to actually kill anything around him, and it's going to allow you to walk through it. Again, it was initially the intention. I envisioned that you could have 25 fobs in the house, and that would be great, and that would be amazing. And then I realized that you train once, like if you put the fob under the couch, he doesn't know whether the fob is there anymore after you take it out. You can reuse the fob. So now it comes to a point that I think with 5 fobs, you can train your entire homes, whether it's a 10,000 square feet home or a 200 square feet apartment. Doesn't matter. You can use 5 fobs and reuse them in different areas. He's going to learn that. So you don't really need to have all those fobs around the house. It's one of those things that actually killed the product itself, because it was like, well, I was going to be selling fobs. No, I don't need to sell fobs. I mean, you have 4. That's enough. You want more, I can sell you more, but it's not like you definitely need them. I mean, it's just a simple thing to be used.
The kill switch is such a great one because, like you said, that teaches them, "Oh, if I'm near you, I can do more. I can go here, I can go there. But if I'm by myself, these are the boundaries, these are the
Right. Like
rules."
what I'm telling you about the couch. He's not supposed to be in the couch ever. But if I'm in the couch, he's allowed to be in the couch. He has to be in the couch. Doesn't need to be on top of me. That's only for special occasions. But I like to watch TV with him next to me. That actually gives me a lot of joy. But it is mostly creating those limits and understanding, because my limits could be those. I know that a lot of people, oh, I don't mind my dog to be on top of the couch. It's like, great. There's nothing wrong with that.
My dog's on the couch right now.
I'm not going to show you the proof because this is being recorded. I don't want my wife to see the video. I can actually deny that he was on the couch and this was just a marketing experience. But right now he's on the couch and he's looking at me and he's like, it's comfy, comfy. Yeah, it's great. But that's why I'm saying, you can't think your dog's going to be perfect because the owner's not perfect at all. I mean, he's not going to be ever better than his owner, handler. In this case, he's as clown as me. I mean, it doesn't make any difference. So, and we'll be always pushing that a little bit more towards my wife, and I know that she loves him. I always say that she's not a dog person, but she's the first one saying, "Hey, did Whistler eat today?" because I don't see any food on the bowl. That bowl is too dirty. Did you wash him? So she cares about him. But again, it's a kid from another woman. She's never going to love him, but she's going to accept it. She's definitely accept it. And I've caught her a couple times talking to the dog when she thought I was not at home. And it's hilarious because I would say she's handicapped on communication with the dog. She will try to reach the dog like that, just to touch it with the tips of the fingers because he's done something good. Eventually, all dogs win the affection of people around them. I think that's what's great about dogs. They pretty much mimic anything that's around them. If you're in a happy environment, he's going to be a happy dog. And if he sees that you're in a depressed moment, even if it's not one of those dogs that wants to be close to you, they'll get close to you and they'll try to push you forward because that's what they do. They get around their family and move with the family. They support each other.
They do. They're such wonderful companions. They truly are. For somebody who's listening, who's maybe now on the fence, what would you want them to know before making the decision? Or what would you say to them to help them be less hesitant?
So the first thing is you're not going to hurt your dog. If you use it correctly, you can actually just handicap the collar and not use the e-collar at all. Remove the fobs, remove the mode, and you can use it just like a beeping and regular and vibration. Second of all, you're going to find out that you have a way to communicate your dog that you never thought you could actually have. And it's just simple. When you go to a broad country and you're able to say yes or no, or we or no, it's just the yes or no can help you a lot. And this is the same thing. You're saying, hey, no, 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 don't do that. You don't do it. You're happy. I'm happy. And so I think that's going to help a lot because most of the time, I think as dog owners, the last thing we want is to hurt our dogs. Our sin is that we try to spoil the dogs more than we would even spoil our kids. And I think that's one of the big things. So definitely, you're not going to hurt your dog. And secondly, you're actually going to help him. And the same thing with the kids. When you have a well-educated kids that, someone comes to the house and they come and greet and say, hello, how are you doing? And they keep clean and, and they correctly, everyone fell in love with them. Even if they don't like kids, say, hey, what a wonderful kid. Well, how educated kid you have? Well, the same thing happened with the dog. When you have a well-educated dog, when you have a dog that actually knows the boundaries, that is not going to be pushing them, the effect that you're going to have on people is going to be exactly the same. They're going to fall in love with your dog. Where you're going to say, oh my God, he doesn't go into your garbage. Mine does. No, mine doesn't go into the garbage. He's trained not to go into the garbage. I always make fun. It's like, how many times have you walked into a friend's house and first thing you ring the bell and you fear the monster behind the door, just barking and scratching and rah, 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 rah. And then you hear your friend, just give me a second. I'm putting sugar right in the cage. It's like, that doesn't seem to be sugar. And you find a small chihuahua. It's like, I thought it was like, a Grand Denise or I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. Well, you claim the door now. And once you get the pizza delivery guy, you can open the door. The dog's going to be right behind you, staring at the guy, staring at the pizza, but he's going to stay 3 feet away from the door because that's your space. You claim the door. So now you have the easy life of knowing that you can open your door without having to push your dog away from the door and having to be worried whether he's going to jump over. No, just start creating space. And if you have a partner, you're married, you have kids, and you live in a house, no matter how big your house is, you always need your space. You always need to make sure you define what's your space, what's my space, what's the space of the dog. And when everyone understands that, I think there's a lot more peace in the house because you now have your space and no one's around it and you can breathe. The dog has his space. He knows where he can go and cannot go. Your wife has your space. It's like, hey, I don't want the dog in the closet. Great. He's not supposed to be in the closet. And I don't think he's going to be affected for not walking in the closet. So I would say, don't be afraid. I think it's good. You're not going to hurt your dog and you're going to enhance your relation with your dog because you're going to find a new way to communicate with your dog. And the great thing about it, if it doesn't work, it's not a huge investment. I would encourage people, if you have any problem with the training, shoot me an email. I'm into this product because I see what it's done to me. And I've seen friends of mine using it wrongly and they call me or I see them that they're doing it wrong and I tell them, dude, you're not supposed to use it like that. Oh, no, no. And I give them the guidance and they see the change. It's like, oh, now I see. It's like, okay, buddy. I mean, the instructions say it clearly. I told you clearly. Obviously, the dog does not need training. You need a lot more training. Oh, most of the time, if there's a trouble, shoot us an email. We'll be more than happy to respond and let you know what you might be doing right, what you might be doing wrong. And we might even learn what you're doing that we never thought about that. Because again, it's a communication. You can use it any way you want. And There's going to be people that might be able to evolve into a level that I cannot even envision. And there's going to be people that are going to get stuck to the no, no, not my couch. He can get in the trash. He can get in the table, but not my couch. That's a 19th century couch. And okay, great. I'm not judging. Everyone it has to enjoy their home the way they wanted to do it. This product is just a way on try to help you do that, achieve that. And there's going to be always people say, "Oh, I remember there was one message that we got. You're a bad person, and you should use the collar on yourself." And I wanted to respond. I really, truly wanted to respond to that comment. But Mike, my marketing guy, told me, "No, so you don't confront that. You don't say anything. Just don't worry about it." And it's like, "But Mike, it's true. I use it on myself for a year. I mean, I shocked myself for a year before I even put it on my dog. And I know what the color can do. I think is a valid response." It's like, no, Jesus, you're crazy enough. But don't tell that because that's not what they're looking. They're looking to create negativity and everything else. Like, yeah, but I've done it. What's wrong with it? I mean, I can tell you, and this is something that I know this is a joke. A lot of women have asked me if that it is worth for their husbands to be wear. And I would tell you, no, it doesn't work on husbands. I've tried, I use it on myself. I'm still the same guy that I used it before that. It doesn't correct anything. The dog helps a little bit more just because they're a little bit more smarter. But husbands is not a niche that you can use it on. It doesn't work correctly.
Good advice, I think. So don't use it on your partners, people. It doesn't
Don't
help.
use it on the partner. It doesn't work. We've tested and it doesn't work. I mean,
Oh my goodness. Well, Jesus, can you tell everybody how to get a hold of you and where they can find Pet Sensor?
sure. So they can actually get into 3ws.pet-sensor.com. They can find us also in Amazon, and anything that they might need, just get into the website and you would find a lot of videos. I mean, there's a lot of funny videos that we have there just because they're real. The interaction with dogs is always a funny thing to be done. And so we have a lot of videos, a lot of training, a lot of tutorials that you can go into it and understand the product a little bit more deeper. And what I would suggest, look at the dogs. None of the dogs that we actually film with are terrified, are scared. They're happy dogs. They're enjoying the situation. They're learning. And the owners is the same thing. You do not be scared about the product. You're never going to hurt your dog unless you actually get the bungee cords and start hitting the dog with the bungee cord, which doesn't make any sense. It's just disclaimer, don't hit your dog with the collar. It doesn't work either. It's easy. It's simple. You're not going to hurt him, and you are going to get an enhancement of the communication with your dog. I think that's the key point here. It's just feeling that enhancement, feeling that you have a connection stronger with your dog. I think it's just the best part of the product.
Check out Pet Sensor, and we'll ask Jesus our final question, which is, what would you like to leave our listeners with today?
Having a dog, it's a blessing. It's something, it's really important. And creating that family union between the dog and your family and enjoying the life of a dog, it's great. Treat them with respect and you're going to get love without limit. I mean, it's just a great thing that you can advocate with dogs. How you find your way with their dog, whether you can use Pet Sensor or not, or whether you can use anything else, I would say try to improve the relation with your dogs. It's just, I think it's the best thing you can do. It pays 10 times of what you invest in it. And I think that's the most important thing about it. We're here because of the dogs. And I think that's the most important part of it.
You heard him. Be kind, spread joy, and love your dog limitlessly. Thanks for listening to Straight Up Dog Talk and for taking the time to learn how to support your dog. If mealtime feels stressful or confusing, I've created a free mini bowl blueprint with 3 simple swaps you can make right now to bring more calm and connection to feeding. You'll find the link in the episode description. Go grab your copy and start making mealtime easier today. New episodes drop every Monday and Wednesday. I'll see you next time.